Well, one of the first times I heard a sermon, it wasn't really a sermon, it was somebody who kind of preached something at me. If you ever had somebody kind of just be real preachy and tell you something about God. I wasn't a Christian, didn't grow up in a Christian home, but our babysitter, she was like one of the nicest, sweetest people I'd ever met, and she was a Christian. And she kind of lived out her faith and was very loving and kind, but her husband was scary. She was scared of him, her kids were scared of him, all the kids that she babysat were scared of him, and he was like a really serious Christian. I mean, he was pretty intense, and he always seemed to be kind of angry, and he was always talking about Jesus and stuff, but it kind of was in a scary way. And I remember sitting at the dining room table, and he was home for lunch, and that was never any fun because it was such a warm home until he came in the room. And so we were sitting there, and on my plate was some food, but also on my plate was a little pile of lima beans. And lima beans and I do not have a good relationship. And so he said to me, eat your lima beans. And I said, I probably shouldn't have. I'm just a little kid. I think I was 7 or 8 or so. I said, no. And the next thing I knew, my chair had been tipped backwards onto the floor, and he sat on my chest and pinned my arms to my sides. And he began to tell me about Jesus and starving children in Africa and how they would be thankful for this food, and about how God would want me to appreciate the food. And he kind of talked to me, I just remember something about God, something about Jesus, while he was shoving lima beans into my mouth with his thumb. And I just remember laying there trying to fight this big man off and just being scared. Organic or inorganic? You tell me.
I would absolutely say that's inorganic, because it's a terrifying way to hear about Christ and to hear about the Lord, and to me that's deterring you from the faith.
I would say that's very inorganic, because it's the association you're going to have with God is fear or something horrible. And
I'd say it's inorganic, and simply the fact that it just paints a really terrible picture of who Christ was. And I think, yes, God and Christ are very concerned about the kids in Africa that don't have any food, but the last thing he'd want is people to be terrified of him.
Yeah, it was definitely inorganic, because God loves people, and there's no way that anyone would want to have a relationship with a God like that.